was well functioning. So that we were thinking what kind of products we could use to really regenerate, meaning that create new tissue under the skin. And we realized that we would need certain signaling molecules called growth factors, which are in the body, which tells cells of the body to grow and differentiate. We knew that we would need those signaling molecules that are found in normal skin and this tissue under the skin, and thinking how to get them. So they are not available commercially. You don't kind of go to any shop to buy them. So the big idea was something like 15 years ago, came suddenly into my mind that actually there's a very interesting ample source for these factors, is that in the plastic surgery clinics, a lot of liposuctions are done currently, and actually that liposuction is the same. It's origin of the same tissue under the skin. So we kind of invented a way how we separate from this liposuction fat these signaling molecules. So that means that we transform this liposuction waste into not a drug, but it's a product which can heal these skin problems.
All right, that sounds really interesting. I mean, I guess I have a feeling that this was the most scientific interview, or it will be the most scientific interview we had here, but it's really interesting and really cool that you made it today. Could you tell a few things about your team? By the way, are your students somehow involved in the research? Or?
Yes, there was that time PhD student who started to work on it in 2005 or 6, and she made called Riina Sarkanen, and she made her thesis out of it, the PhD. And then there have been a couple of students on the road, but now we have transformed the rights to the company called Everfill Limited, and now we are looking for finance to take this into as a product, as a off-the-shelf product to be used for medical treatments.
Right, and I guess this is why you joined the Arctic 15 list.
That's very true, yes.
Have you any experience of previously participating in pitching competitions as a startup? Or
not really pitching. So I started my first company with researchers from Tampere in 2003 or 4. So we brought into the global markets a certain kind of device that can be used in laboratory in cell biological research. So there's startup activities. I know that basically done it myself before. But this kind of a pitching type of I've not done it very much.
Right. On behalf of Tribecast team, I congratulate you on joining Arctic 15 list. As you might know, there are 5 startups from Tampere who made it to the list this year, and this is really great for Tampere startup ecosystem, and of course I wish you good luck with that.
Thank you.
Could you share a bit more about your expectations about Arctic 15?
I don't know, because to be frank, I got it posted in my email, and I had, I guess, 1 or 2 days to do it, so I did it. I did the application very fast and without really knowing anything, and also to be again frank, I don't today know very much about it. I really have to look more carefully what I am now putting my head in.
Sounds like my application to masters.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yes, yeah.
I don't know what I'm doing, but that was quick. Actually, there's this kind of stereotype that people of science are kind of locked in their own community, in their own world of wise unicorns, whatever. But I still want to ask you, what do you think and how do you feel about the general situation of Tampere startup ecosystem?
Again, to be frank, I don't very much know about it. I know something about the startups in the medical campus and in the Kauppi campus. I understand there is Demolan. There's a lot of activities here in the main campus and in the city of Tampere. So I don't really know. Yeah,
but then why to join a startup? Then you could have sold your idea to some big international medical company and just...
The problem, not the problem, but the point there is that although we already have some studies with real patients. So it's so early stage that to increase the value of the innovation, so we have to take it further. So there's no point. I guess in Finland, many people try to sell their innovations really too early, so that there's not enough revenue for them or for Finland. So that we have to do quite a bit of work to get the value correct.
Right. So basically you're asking for financing to continue your research.
I would not call it research. I would call it productization. So that we have done our research. So the clinical studies, they are part of the productization. Although we will write publications about the studies with patients, let's say wounds or some problems. But I would not call that, let's say, research per se.
Right.
So they will serve the productization of the innovation.
And have you conducted the research entirely on the university premises?
You mean this particular one?
Yeah, this particular.
Yeah, this particular has been done. Well, of course, we have had the connections to the private clinics, but the basic research has been done in the university and through the university.
Right, and as a professor, I know at least one startup from Tampere, besides you, who works in the sphere of medicine, and the team consists of medical students, but in my head, medical students are usually like those super busy people, like with lots of studying. So generally, what do you think about medical students doing their own startups while they're still students?
Well, I think it's how you spend your time. So I don't think medical students, the studying medicine is so hard that you cannot do any other activities. And well, of course, it's in a way that there are certain times you have to be here and there, and certain in the hospital. So on the daytime, it's very much regulated, so that you have to be here. But otherwise, it's like any studies. So I'm very happy that people try to think something else than their own studies. So if they can, because in all studies like medicine, so you start to see the needs and the problems, and if you use your creativity. So I really encourage people doing that. Okay.
So technically, if you really into the sphere, you can figure out what kind of products people need or what kind of services.
It's any aspect of any area of the life. So like in medicine, so little by little, when people enter the clinics and start to see patients, and also start to see how the hospitals, clinics work, so that you can have in a way, or kind of a needs that, okay, this organization is just crap, or why people are doing like this, why I don't develop a certain app for this, which one makes this much more smooth, or if there's certain patients which you see that they cannot be cured, or there's something problem with that. So I see that the seeing and understanding and being open-minded to kind of a screen for needs around, and I guess that's the starting point for any new innovations. Survival of Finnish economy.
Right, that's an interesting position. Since you mentioned an app, I cannot ask, what do you think about this quite a wave of innovations in medicine, in a sense that there is more and more artificial intelligence and robotics? Do you think that all those will squeeze human doctors outside of profession at some point?
Well, I guess that's a natural phenomenon, so that I welcome that, because one thing I've seen myself practicing medicine with seeing patients, and what I see all the time around, the one, if you take one important aspect in that, is that if you see a patient and you listen to the patient and you start to think what this patient might have, what's behind this. So you are very, very, very easily biased, so that you start to follow certain lead. Okay, I've seen this kind of a before, so they start asking questions that would take you that direction. So I think one important aspect in the artificial intelligence is that they are not so biased. Of course, they are biased because depending how they are taught and what kind of cases are given to them, but I'm sure that would be very helpful for the physicians to saying that, okay, but you have now going to this avenue, but see, these are these and these and these avenues. So you should consider also checking whether this might be this. There's so much data coming out, and digging this data into information into your head, it starts to be more and more complicated, because I remember starting research in the early 80s. It was very nice to kind of master certain area in the science, so that I knew basically all relevant publications. Now it's not possible anymore, and definitely will not be possible in the future.
Thank you for that opinion. Probably I have one last question for today, if you don't mind. How do you see the future of Everfill in 5 years?
In 5 years, we will have a sales permit in US and Europe, and we are in the point that it can be started to be sold, the product, and most probably at that point our abilities and strength is too small, so that we have to kind of abandon that to another. Sorry for using the word abandon, but kind of give that or sell that or license that to some bigger player in the world who can really market that in their big marketing channels and sales channels.
Right, I got your point. Thank you very much for this interview. This was Timo from Everfill, and yeah, that was it for this week. Thank you.
Thank you.
This was Tribecast episode 13, and my name is Marina. Let me remind you that Tribecast is an independent media working in a close cooperation with the Tribe Tampere community. Next week I will continue talking to the potential winners of Arctic 15, and for now I wish you all a pleasant, relaxing weekend. Stay warm and tuned.